they say we're each taking a little bit of time?
It doesn't say how much time. It's just this block is 45 minutes allotted to chat, but I don't think we're going to take 45 minutes. I did make some follow-up questions aside from what he listed, though. So we'll add those in there if we need some filler. So if we just want to start going down one at a time, and then people can kind of jump in. Sorry, my phone's ringing. With comments and questions or whatever. So the first one is substance abuse. Susan, that's you. And how do you think that would impact the workplace? And how would you address it?
Well, it's interesting that I learned a lot from that article. Hi, Sabik. I learned that there's an online calculator that can determine how much money your business is going to lose.
Wow.
If one of your employees is using substance abuse.
Yeah.
And I just went, wow, they've done a lot of studies on this, and the things that they talked about. So, I mean, it was really interesting, and it's so typical of somebody who, I mean, I don't know, we've all probably seen that. I've known a lot of people on drugs, and the way they behave, it's all textbook written in this article. Mm-hmm. And I really never gave that much thought to how much money it costs a company. And right. So I thought it was really interesting.
You know what's interesting? I was a little bit behind this week. I usually try to start early in the week to get all the readings done. But I just got to it last night, and I happened to be scrolling through Facebook after, and I saw this video that someone posted. Probably I saw it because one of my friends commented on it. Anyway, it was two women working a cash register, and the person recording was the customer, and he was purchasing something, and they were so high. I don't even know on what, but one of the ladies was like passed out mid checking his things, like over the scanner, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, that what an experience. I'm glad that she recorded that. Oh boy. So I thought that it was really interesting because what I'm going to be writing in my for my final was the employee assistance program, the EAP, and how they can help. You know, it's like going to your parents when you've done something wrong. You know, who's going to go? I wondered what you guys would think about that. Who that is on drugs is going to go to their employer, the assistance program, and say, hey, I really need help with this.
Well, unfortunately, in those kind of situations, something really bad has to happen first before they recognize that they need help.
Right. But, you know, can you imagine anybody going to that program and
voluntarily?
Yeah, I don't see it happening. And so I would do the same thing as a lot of businesses do and do the random drug testing, because it's not that expensive, except for when the employees, because my friend got drug tested just recently, and he was like, okay, I guess I get to sit here and read a magazine for an hour, because, you know, they took him off his position.
Yeah.
And it costs a lot of money that way for their production. But I think that it keeps well, I don't know if it does or not, because the people who use the drugs, they get the system down and they know when they can and cannot. And my kids even told me they have so many ways to falsify the test. And so it's like, that's okay. Crazy.
Yeah.
I would drug test, though. That's what I would do.
Okay. Anyone else have any comments or suggestions on substance abuse in the workplace? Hey, before we move on to the next person, Sabik, we each took a section, and we're going to share our thoughts, and I have some questions to follow up. So your topic is same-sex relationships in the workplace. So you're like 3 away if you want to
So wake up.
for that. Yeah. Okay, Grace, you're next with divorce and family issues. How would you handle that issue, and how do you think it would affect job performance and those that work with the divorcees?
So obviously divorces can be very messy, depending on like the circumstances, and
Right.
also really expensive. I think at the reading it said it was like $8,000 or something.
Yeah, $8,300.
Average. That's just average.
Yeah.
If you want like an amicable divorce and don't have to have crazy lawyer fees for custody battles and splitting up assets and that kind of thing.
And a lot of the time that is added because, you know, most married couples do have kids or like house together, that kind of stuff.
Right.
So I think just like as are we looking at this like from like a manager standpoint, like what we would do for our employees? Kristen's gone.
Uh-oh.
I guess I'll just keep talking. Like from an employer standpoint, you just need to be like very sensitive to people's needs because like even though divorce is like can be a very good thing for those couples, it's still a very hard thing to go through. So I think a lot of sensitivity. And do the EAP, does that cover divorce too? I couldn't really tell from the reading.
Yeah, they're there to help you in any problems that you have personally or in the workplace.
So, and I know for like my job, they do like therapy sessions are offered like under like the company. So I think that would be something that would be good for Kristen.
I'm glad you could join us, Kristen.
I don't know what is happening here. I'm getting so frustrated. It's because this is our last thing together. My internet can't possibly work for 1 hour. And you want to recap that? Just like 10 seconds?
So I was just saying like being sensitive towards those people's feelings, and I asked if EAP like covered that as well. And then I was kind of talking about how like at my job they offer kind of like EAP, but it's more like you can do like therapy or they do like financial advising, that kind of thing. So that would be something that would definitely, I think, be beneficial to those families because it is really hard to go through a divorce.
Right. Awesome. Anyone else have any comments? Did I miss them?
No.
Okay, Kaylee, yours is a work/home life balance. How does that impact the workplace, and how do you address that, like from the HR standpoint?
Okay, I think that, okay, can I just use an example for this?
Yeah.
Okay, so I used to work for a guy that had a really hard time leaving his work life at work. And I think that that's something that you have to really learn how to do is, sorry, just 1 second. I gotta get to a different room. It's just, his marriage was struggling because he kept taking his work drama home instead of leaving it at work. And I even saw this with my own parents, because my parents used to work together at a like a boys facility for troubled boys, and they'd bring that all home to us.
Yeah.
And they'd take out all their anger on us as kids.
I bet that was hard.
Yeah.
So, as far as how to make that separation and ensure that there is a good balance, do you have any ideas or suggestions about how to make that work? Or anyone else can jump in. This is like a question to everyone. Or if there's something that you guys have implemented in your lives.
I think it's just important to just, like when you go home, just take that time to be with your family. and to not worry about what's going on at work.
It's gotta be able to like help you relax a little bit more too, and not have to focus on something you've already been working on for 8 hours, right?
Yep.
So something that I do, just because my schedule is kind of crazy right now, I don't work full time, but I do work 30 hours a week. So I work Monday through Friday from 9 to 3. But I'm also a full-time student. So I plan my week out so that my homework is done by like Thursday or Friday, so that I have the weekends with my family. We're pretty busy during the week too, so we're kind of going in all different directions. So I try to make sure that we have that balance on the weekend to focus on whatever it is that we need, whether it's cleaning or shopping or church things or just hanging out. So that's one way that we've been able to balance. And I joke with my husband that when I'm done with school, we're going to drive each other crazy because we're going to have so much time together now. It's going to be great. So awesome. Okay, next is Sabik with same-sex marriage. How do you think that impacts the workplace? What kind of dynamic does that bring?
I think it's the same dynamic as it would be under any other kind of emotional challenges. It shouldn't be a different category.
Okay.
So if we are offering this system that has emotional support, I would include it there, and I wouldn't present it as something as a different category. So if you have any kind of emotional challenges, if any kind of relationships, we direct them there, right? I wouldn't create a separate category.
Yeah, I agree. But also I have a follow-up question because this is kind of a controversial topic.
Yep.
Maybe 30 or 40 years ago, a same-sex relationship in the workplace could have brought forth a significantly different dynamic among employers and employees if they had that information about their coworkers. But now it's more common and accepted throughout the world. So is there really much difference in a heterosexual versus a homosexual relationship in the workplace? Does it really make that much of a splash among different coworkers?
So professionally, I think my personal beliefs and convictions should not be in the way of providing support to anyone. Like I personally, of course, disagree with the practice of same-sex relationships, but professionally, not just professional, but I also think in the personal. Personally, I think everyone deserves to get help whenever they're having emotional problems, depression, anxiety, whatever it is. Everyone is entitled to have the same kind of treatment.
Right.
So, and I think that something has been changing, the separation between ethics and, I don't know, I think it's just a matter of taking into consideration the rights of each individual. Everyone has the right to be happy and get help. So, yeah, I would just make clear that it's available to anyone.
Perfect.
Yep.
Does anyone else have any experience or comments?
Not in the workplace.
I just think, Sabik, you're very level-headed, and I think you're going to be a good businessman. Because that's a great answer. Because I'm a little bit more biased because I'm like, we should treat them just like normal people. I just, at the offset, I'm just like, oh no, I don't want to touch that subject, and so.
Right.
I like your answer. Good for you.
Thank you.
And so I worked with a gay woman very closely over the summer, and at first it was kind of weird because I'd never been like that close of contact with someone. Like, and she was married to a woman, and they have babies now, and it's great. And, you know, I love her as a person. I think she is amazing. And it just, like, for me, I just had to remind myself, you know, she's a daughter of God, and I should treat her how I would treat anyone else.
Absolutely. Yeah. So my brother is gay, and he came out to me before anyone else when I was probably 13. So I was exposed to it at a very young age. And so, you know, being a LDS person and having strong beliefs and faith, I've had to come to grips with how I treat that relationship and how I let it impact my life. And something that I decided years ago was if they're good people and they're, you know, living their life and not bothering anyone else, and they're making success for themselves, what they do in their own time is not for me to judge. And luckily, we have someone else who's going to take care of that for us. So I've always just been able to, he's my brother and I love him. The things he does I don't agree with, but it doesn't affect how we interact. So I've been around many gay people in my life, and so that's why I brought that question up about if it was any different than a heterosexual relationship, because to me it wouldn't be. There are negative heterosexual relationships that would affect the workplace more than a coworker in a happy, healthy, normal homosexual relationship. So it could go either way. I think it has more to do with how people separate their home lives and their work lives, and what kind of information they let affect different coworkers and things like that, and their job performance, obviously.
So can I just put in my 2 cents, because my ex-husband is a air traffic controller, and they would complain if there was even Cosmopolitan magazine in the break room. You know, it bothered people. So it's like it's such a volatile circumstance. Yeah. Anything sexual is just volatile.
Right. Yeah. You know, well, and I don't think that it's important in the workplace. You know,
but they have to protect the workspace. It can't be like enforced or imposed on somebody else. And so you just keep your personal preferences to yourself. I think that's what we're supposed to do anyways.
Mm-hmm. And I think that applies to everything, every kind of, so same-sex or heterosexual relations, there has to be
what I was saying.
Really very clear rules on behavior, like unwelcomed approaches, comments, jokes, music, conversations, whatever. Mm-hmm. If that in somehow is like messing with the work environment, if I have the right to report it and comment on it, so management can do something about it.
Right. Yeah.
So,
exactly.
Yeah, but if it's something harmless, if there's also all clauses to protect people from.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. I definitely agree. We have one of our 6th grade teachers at school. She is gay. She has taught for over 30 years. She's actually become a very good friend of mine. She's amazing, and I love her. And I really appreciate the fact that every single person on our campus, they don't treat her any differently. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. None of her sexual orientation interferes with how competent she is as a teacher. So, I mean, a lot of her, her peers respect her. So I really think it can be separated from the workplace. It doesn't have to come into play.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, any other comments on that topic? Okay. Jane, you're up with workplace dating and relationships. So give us your thoughts. What do you think? And how
I kind of
would you handle
chuckled with that one
Yeah.
because back to my workplace, my boss, who is the principal of the elementary school, he actually recently divorced because his wife caught him having an affair with one of our teachers.
Oh,
Hey.
Yeah,
this is being
Wow.
recorded, Jane.
I know. Well, unfortunately, it's all true. I always joke that I can write a book about everything that goes on in our school. It is crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I'm sorry for the poor wife.
Yeah, very sorry for her. So like we actually, a couple of us at work were kind of looking at the school district's policy on
Mhm.
like workplace relationships.
Right.
And there really wasn't one. I do understand that my boss was reprimanded, and we actually thought they were going to transfer him, and they did not. And then we thought they were going to transfer the teacher, and they didn't. So a lot of the other
Awkward.
teachers, it is so awkward. So awkward. Staff meetings are weird. They're just tense. But I think because the district, when they did their investigation, they couldn't find any evidence that they could keep on file of this inappropriate work relationship. So I think that's why neither of them were fired or transferred.
Wow.
What kind of evidence do they want? I mean, really?
Well, the ex-wife had shown them like inappropriate texts and pictures.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not. We don't know all the details of their investigation, but I think relationships in the workplace, if it's like supervisor to somebody they're over, I think that a company should definitely have a policy against that, because that could be seen as taking advantage. You know, someone in a position of power having a relationship with someone they supervise, I think that shouldn't be allowed in the workplace. But I think most companies do allow workplace relationships just as long as they are not married.
Sam, can you do me a favor and answer this? She's called 3 times. Miss Paladella. Sorry. So my brother's in the Navy, and I was like, "You're at work like all the time, and you're on boats. So how does the whole relationship thing work?" And the Navy actually has a policy where you can't date anyone that is above or below you. They have to be the same rank, because if anything goes south in that relationship, they can be construed as like manipulation or you know whatever. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But also on the flip side, you are at work so many hours a day, so it would make sense that you would meet people there that you share things in common with and want to you know, start a relationship with. So
Right.
We'll call her back in like
Are
30.
there policies where you have to declare in writing that you have a relationship with someone from work?
Yeah.
There are? I've never heard of that.
It's just kind of a declaration that states you're in a relationship together, and how long it's been going on, and that it's a consensual, basically, relationship. So you can't interfere or sue the company if something goes bad.
Oh, interesting.
It's for liability purposes.
I never heard that before. Oh, the education I'm getting.
Information you never wanted to know, right? That's funny. Okay. So, what else do we have here? What are some other issues aside from the 5 that we just talked about that you think impact the workplaces currently, and then like in the future, think 5 to 10 years?
Wait, say the question again?
What are some other issues, either that you've experienced or that you've heard about, or that you think impact the workplace?
Other issues.
Yeah, so like the ones that we just discussed, same-sex marriage, drug abuse. What are other things that can get in the way of your job performance?
Nothing having to do with relationships, but I say technology.
That's a good one.
Because right now, as a matter of fact, this morning, we were at a training at the district, and they're offering all of the clerks that from all the other schools, same position as mine, the chance to learn about Excel. And I mean, these poor ladies don't even know how to change column size. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's, I mean, I see that as if they can't keep up with technology. I mean, right now, all the classrooms in our school district, all the kids use Chromebooks.
Wow.
And they use Google Docs. They know how, my fifth grader knows how to do, like, he knows how to share a Google Doc. He can do Google Slides.
That's awesome.
That's a great point, Jane, because the way the technology is going, it's like it's mandatory. We have to know.
I actually was thinking that as you brought it up that it was a negative thing, but you're saying that it's a positive thing, and because of all of the changes, we kind of need to stick with it in order to move forward with our careers and be on top of things, right?
Yeah, we need to be educated, and maybe offering classes from an employer offering classes would benefit everybody.
Right.
I was just wondering, because technology can also be a con in that it gets in the way of job performance. Kind of like my phone ringing in the middle of our group meeting right now.
Well, and I keep thinking of the TSA employee, who was on his phone and that happened. So that's what I thought when you first said the technology too.
Yeah, right. But I guess, it does make sense that it is also a positive thing that we need to keep up with.
Yeah. So it depends really on the industry that you're working. Like the reading said, a lot of workers right now, they don't care about being for 8 hours in an office, where they could be as productive if they were at home or traveling or something. They don't want to be just in the same place for 8 hours a week.
Yeah.
And yeah, this what was it? Let me see. So we were thinking about ways. There's this Great Place to Work company organization. I think it's worldwide. Just in the U.S., Canada, Mexico, some other Latin American countries. There is this Great Place to Work ratings.
Bless you, Jane.
Thank you.
You sneezed.
And
I just said bless you, Jane.
And when you come with the purpose of some meetings was to come up with ideas that would improve employee engagement and loyalty and motivation, performance, gender equality, and so many other things. And we came to the conclusion that we wanted to implement the home office culture, that you could take your job with you to your home. We will give you a computer with certain security things so it can be encrypted. The performance increased a lot.
Wow.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Lot. It increased a lot. They were at.
That is interesting. My brother works from home. He works for a medical company.
Yeah.
He's like a dispatcher for a medical company. So he's over like 40 drivers, and he just makes sure that they do all their deliveries and pickups, and he does it all from home. He has his office. He takes phone calls.
Does he like
keeps
being home?
whatever program he uses to keep track of deliveries, and it's all from home. and he gets paid pretty well.
And he likes it.
He does.
He likes working from
He
home.
does.
Because
Yeah.
one of the ladies said I could never work from home because she just knows her productivity wouldn't be there.
I
do
couldn't work
see
from
how that
home.
would be beneficial to work from home.
Yeah. Well,
Any
started
other?
oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was saying that we started by giving them the home office option once a week. It wasn't every day.
Oh, okay. But still, that's nice to have that flexibility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's kind of related to that, Kristen. I wrote that this lady, Christy Stump, prepares to head out in time to beat rush hour traffic. So I was reading about flex time, and I wrote in the margins, Kristen's job. Didn't you tell us that your employer was really flexible, and if you had to run to do something with the kids? So is it considered that you have flex time?
Remind me what flex time means?
Just where you're flexible, you can, as long as you're working your job or your hours, then you can leave early to miss traffic, or if you have a doctor's appointment or your kids need you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's absolutely flex time. She's just very flexible. Like some days there's not a ton of flexibility if we have something, one of our properties that we need to get taken care of. But if I give her any kind of notice, or if something comes up that day and we don't have a ton going on, she can generally, say no big deal and take off. Like today, I didn't go to work because I wasn't feeling good this morning, and she was like, "No problem, see you tomorrow." So
I think that
very, very convenient. When I first started there, they wanted me from like 11 to 5, which is not bad hours. It's just it would work well for me. And so I mentioned that I pick my daughter up from school every day and she gets out at 3. And for my schedule, it would be ideal if I could work from like 8 to 2 or 9 to 3. And she was totally fine with it right away.
good
And
deal.
yeah.
Nice.
Sounds like a good employer.
Mhm.
Yes, she's good. Very good. Okay, our last question for today is, how do you guys think the workplace will change in the next 10 years?
I think it's going to change a lot. I think how do you call it? Jornadas. The time you have to spend at work each day is going to be reduced. I think it's going to be more efficient. I think
Okay.
technology is going to make some changes so that you can be more efficient in less time. Hopefully.
Right.
You're good to go.
Unless that's
Yeah,
less hours,
that would be awesome if that were the case.
unless it's less hours and less pay.
Right.
Right.
That would not be ideal.
Yeah.
Anyone else? What do you guys think will change in the next 10 years? For less benefits, honestly. We're moving that way already. You see less and less employers offering benefits.
Because
That's
it's
true.
so hard to make any money.
Yeah. There's one thing that we currently see in the workforce and is only getting worse as the tax increase each year. Does anybody have an idea what that might be?
Well, it's barely keeps up with the cost of living increase.
Yeah. I was just thinking of overseas companies taking their business from the United States and moving things to other countries where their tax implications are less.
Mhm.
Right.
Well, I think taxation comes from government deficit. So if the government is overspending and they're
Absolutely.
not money to make GDP go up at the same rate, that's why we're getting
Mhm.
tax increases.
Yeah, I don't
Yep.
see that ever changing for the better.
No, if anything, it's going to get worse.
Right.
All right. Any other thoughts? I think we did good for today.
Yeah.
I have lots of notes. Okay, if everyone is done, I will end our broadcast and we can chat for a few minutes.